All right, good evening. We'll call the meeting to order, and good evening. Welcome to the November 21st, 2024 meeting of the Minnetonka Planning Commission. The Commission generally meets on the first and third Thursdays of the month. The schedule and tentative agendas can be obtained by calling the Planning Department or by checking the city website at minnetonkamn.gov. The Commission holds public hearings on land use applications. From a specific process standpoint, that means we make recommendations to the City Council on rezonings, subdivisions, conditional use permits, and amendments to the city's comprehensive plan, zoning ordinance, and subdivision regulations. We also make final decisions on site plans, signage requests, and variance requests, and expansion permits, unless these requests are part of an application that must be heard by the City Council. In that case, the Commission makes a recommendation and the Council makes the final decision. The city notifies property owners within at least 400 feet of the sites, posts signs on the properties, and places notices in the Lakeshore Weekly News and the Minnetonka Memo. Any aggrieved party may appeal a final Planning Commission decision to the City Council. If you wish to appeal, you must submit a written request to the city within 10 days of this meeting. From a broader standpoint, the city's comprehensive plan, zoning ordinance, and subdivision regulations are the city's best efforts to codify a balance between individual rights and community responsibilities. Individual rights are easy to understand. Community responsibilities are more subtle, but the idea is that we, as members of the community, limit our individual rights for the common good of the group. The Planning Department, the Planning Commission, and the City Council are charged with managing this sometimes difficult balancing act. We ask you to keep this broader perspective in mind as we review tonight's applications. Again, welcome. Staff, please call roll.
Waterman.
Here.
Banks.
Here.
Hanson.
Here.
Henry.
Here.
Maxwell is absent. Minion is absent. Chair Sewell.
I am choking, but I am here. All right. All right, so moving on to next is approval of the agenda, and I believe there is a change memo to the agenda.
Chair, we do have a change to this evening's agenda. Item 7A, which is the expansion permit for a new house on McGinty Road West, that has been pulled from your agenda pending submission of some different complete accurate plans. So that will come back to you at a future date, but we apologize to anyone who came to this evening's meeting or may be watching. We did just pull that this afternoon.
And will that be on the consent agenda whenever it does come again?
We're hopeful, yes.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. All right, recognizing the change memo, would someone like to make a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Motion, Henry.
I'll second.
Second, Hanson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next is approval of minutes from our November 7th, 2024 meeting. Any changes to those minutes, commissioners? Doesn't look like. Then I'll take a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion, Banks.
I'll second.
Second, Waterman. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Next is report from staff.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioners, a couple of items from the City Council meeting on 11/18 that you would have reviewed. Conditional use permit for an accessory dwelling unit on Windsor Lake Road. That was approved on the consent agenda per your recommendation. And then the council also considered some cannabis-related ordinances at their meeting. You reviewed those at your last meeting. They did approve the zoning ordinance amendment that clarified where in our community what zoning districts these businesses would be allowed in. That again was approved per your recommendation. Second was the retail registration ordinance, though not technically a zoning item. The council, if you'll recall, had asked you to weigh in on some of the locational standards. They did have quite a bit of conversation. Ultimately, they decided to delete the PID preference from the ordinance, preferring that essentially the market just dictate where these retail businesses, again, up to 5 retail businesses can be located in our community. They also decided to apply buffers to schools and park features only, not to apply it to daycares, reducing the possibility of non-conforming issues in the future. So just like all ordinances, we'll live with this ordinance for a bit, and if there needs to be amendments to either of these, that can come in the future. The only other announcement I have is that your next meeting will be December 5th. As of right now, we don't have any items scheduled for December 19th. So that meeting will likely be canceled, but we'll keep you posted on that. That would be your next meeting after December 5th. So December 5th, we're on. December 19th, that is still kind of up in the air, but we will let you know. And that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Commissioners, anything to report? Yeah, Commissioner Henry.
Thanks, sir. Just a question for Susan. Let's say that the ordinance that City Council passed about zoning comes up again, or can you explain the process? Let's say there's a lot of outcry from the community about having cannabis retailers near daycare centers. Is it up to the citizens to approach their City Council people to bring it on the agenda, or is it something that the city would bring on to us and then ultimately the City Council?
Yeah, Chair Sewell and commissioners, typically ordinance amendments come at the direction of City Council. So if they see a topic that they want addressed, that would be something that they would then direct staff to take a look at. So certainly, as with any ordinance, if community members have concerns or ideas, reaching out to their council person is something they can do. I would say that the cannabis ordinance, as proposed, has been up on Minnetonka Matters for public input for some time. That was not something that had been raised as an issue going into the adoption of the ordinance.
Thank you. And maybe for the audience's clarification too, there's so many people watching online. If there's maybe there is. If there's anybody who wishes to provide feedback to the city, you mentioned Minnetonka Matters. That's a really good vehicle for providing feedback. Can you explain to the audience all avenues that they have to talk to the city or the City Council?
Yeah, all of those avenues, Commissioner Henry and Chair Sewell, are on the city's website. At the bottom of the front page, you can type in your address. That will tell you who your City Council person is. You can email them directly. All of the City Council people and the mayor, their email addresses, their phone numbers are available on the website. Certainly, city staff, our emails are available. We're happy to talk to people who call in, people who may stop in.
Thank you.
Other reports from commissioners? All right, I know this wasn't planned, but I'm sorry for putting you on the spot, but I'd love to hear just from maybe Commissioner Henry and Commissioner Banks. You serve on other commissions, just what sort of things you've been working on, or what some kind of hot topics are. Sorry, not trying to throw you a curveball, but I'm just out of curiosity. This is a little lighter agenda, so if you have 30 seconds, I'd just love to hear kind of what you've been working on.
On the Sustainability Commission, we're working on making sure that the city is resilient enough so it can withstand things, fluctuations like climate change and other things. And one of my, a couple of my biggest things that I try to be a promoter of is to reduce city's salt usage. And there's a symposium put on by the University of Minnesota, I believe it is, where any citizens are invited to join that, and I plan to go join that as well, so I can bring some of that knowledge back to the city.
Great, love it. Thank you again for serving on that commission. I appreciate it. I know it's a lot of work to do dual commissions, but thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah, and as for myself on the DEI, the new DEI commission, it's a brand new commission, started up this summer. We're kind of laying out our goals and our plans for next year, 2025. Trying to create a foundation that other members can step in and take the baton and run with. So we're just in the process of having communications with different departments of the city, understanding how they operate, and try to get a better understanding of how we can serve them as a new commission.
Great, thank you again. Like I said, Commissioner Henry, thank you for serving on that. I know it's a lot of work, but it's important work that you both do, and again, the fact that you're doing 2 commissions is pretty commendable. So I just want to say thank you for that.
Since you're asking, I probably should bring up a couple other things too, where we are working on next year's, the work plan for the Sustainability Commission. And if anybody that's watching at home and seeks to provide any feedback to us, then you can always reach out through the city's website, through Minnetonka Matters, reach out to me directly, or any of the city council people as well.
Great. Thank you for the call. All right. We will keep moving then. Moving on to item number 7, consent agenda. These are items that are usually pretty routine in nature and will pass with one motion unless someone would like to pull the item, have a full discussion on the subject. In that case, we can. There's now only one item on the consent agenda item tonight, and it's item 7B, minor amendment to an existing master development to add 4 apartments in the Rise at Opus Park building at 10101 Bren Road East. And this is a recommendation to adopt the resolution approving the request. Commissioners, would anyone like to pull this item and have a full discussion on it? Doesn't look like it. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to pull this item and have a full discussion on it? All right, doesn't look like it. Then I think we are probably ready to make a motion. Would someone like to make a motion to adopt the resolution approving the request for a minor amendment to an existing master development to add 4 apartments in the Rise at Opus Park building at 10101 Bren Road East?
I will make that motion.
Motion Hanson.
I'll second.
Second Banks. Staff, please poll the commission.
Yes.
Banks?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Chair Sewell?
Yes, motion carries. And this is a final planning commission decision subject to appeal within 10 days in writing of this meeting. All right. Moving on to item number 8. But before we begin consideration of the non-consent agenda items, I'd like to review the steps in the process and the public hearing procedure that will be followed for each proposal. First, the item will be announced and staff will report on the subject. The commission will then ask questions. Next, the applicant will be invited to make a presentation or offer comments if desired. Commissioners may ask additional questions at this time. After the applicant is finished, the public hearing will be open to give anyone present the opportunity to comment on the proposal. If you wish to speak, please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. We ask you keep your comments brief and try not to repeat points already made. All right, the public hearing will then be closed. No further comments will be allowed. The commission will discuss the proposal and make a decision. The first and only item on the agenda is item 8A, front yard setback variance for a new house at 5470 Roland Road. Ms. Thomas, this is your report.
Yeah, thank you, Chair and Commission. Again, this property is located on the south side of Roland Road. It's about 1/10 of a mile east of the Roland Road, Bren Road intersection. The lot was created in 2021, so most of you will probably remember this subdivision. It was called Munson Meadows. The lots themselves, and particularly this northerly lot, contain substantial topography. There's floodplain areas, wetland areas, and it's also subject to 2 front yard setback requirements. Roland Road, which is a front property line, that's very intuitive, and then the westerly and northwesterly property line is also considered a front property line because it's adjacent to railroad right-of-way, which is far less intuitive. Our code reads that any property line abutting public right-of-way doesn't make any differentiation with what that right-of-way is for, as considered a front property line. TWP architects have submitted a plan to construct a single-family home on this property, also a plan generally to construct a home on the southerly parcel. The home does require a setback variance, a front yard setback variance from 35 feet to 25 feet for these points that are highlighted in red on this survey. Staff supports the variance really for 3 reasons. First, the intent of that setback from railroad right-of-way is to provide separation between rail lines and residential uses. This existing railroad right-of-way, say that 3 times fast, is not actually used for rail or train purposes. It's improved with a pedestrian trail. The house would be located over 70 feet from the actual traveled surface of that trail. Secondly, from staff's perspective, these are really point intrusions into the required setback, about 5% of the footprint of the home. And then thirdly, this is just really a very unique situation. Recent changes to the floodplain ordinance essentially moved the floodplain on this property upward, such that the 3,500 square foot conforming buildable area is down to 2,800 square feet. You have this triangular shape. You have the railroad right-of-way, a shared driveway bisecting the property. All of these together, again, are just really unique. In other words, staff is not concerned about this variance setting a precedent. I think we would be hard-pressed to find another similar situation in our community. So with that, staff is recommending approval of the setback variances, or variance, I should say, and I'll turn it back to the commission.
Great, thank you. Commissioners, any questions for staff? All right, looks like you nailed it. All right, if the applicant is here, would like to offer any additional comments, you're free to, but not required. Doesn't look like it. All right. Then we will open the public hearing. If anyone would like to come forward and comment on this item, now's your time. All right, seeing as no one's coming, we'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, any questions or comments about this item? Not the most controversial one we've ever had. I would imagine we're probably aligned, but if anyone has anything they'd like to say, or we can just show our show how we feel with the motion too. There's no right or wrong. Commissioner Waterman, you look like you're.
I was just going to say briefly,
Jump into
I
it.
agree with the presentation and the bullet points listed on page 2 for all the reasons that this should be approved. So I'd be in support of it.
All right. Ms. Thomas, where's that trail go? I haven't been on it before.
It's a regional trail, so this is the trail that runs all the way from Hopkins, Shady Oak,
Okay.
and
Got it.
down southward into Eden Prairie.
Oh, it goes all
Yeah.
the way to Eden Prairie. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. That's just more of a curiosity question. All right. Any other comments, commissioners? Otherwise, I think we're probably ready for a motion, and the motion would be to adopt the resolution approving the request for a front yard setback variance for a new house at 5470 Roland Road. Would someone like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion Waterman.
I'll second.
Second Henry. Staff, please poll the commission.
Waterman?
Yes.
Banks?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Henry?
Yes.
Chair Sewell?
Yes, motion carries. And this is a final planning commission decision subject to appeal in writing within 10 days. All right, good luck with your project. All right, moving on to item number 9, adjournment. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I will make that motion.
Motion Hanson,
I'll second.
second Banks. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. We are adjourned. Good night.